Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending on where in the world you are joining me from. I am Illuminati, and this is the Crypto and Cognac podcast show, as always, live every Thursday evening, 7 p.m. sharp Atlantic Standard Time, right here on YouTube. Welcome. And this is where we chat it up. We look to get deep into this cryptic world of cryptocurrency. And as always, we never lie, we never chat dry mouth. That is not how we do it here in the Caribbean. So if I'm here, you know, say, any day, right? This evening, we're going to be drinking on some Hennessy Pure White, right? There is nothing more Caribbean than Hennessy Pure White. Well, actually, I take that back. I'll show you something in a short while. But Hennessy Pure White is actually produced exclusively for the Caribbean market. You cannot get it in the US. You cannot get it in Europe. You have to come to the Caribbean if you want some Hennessy Pure White. This evening, I'll be trying to end off this bottle. Now, for those of you who have been fans and followers of this podcast for a little bit, you'll know that Hennessy Pure White has not always been my favorite. And it still isn't, right? Let's be real. It still isn't my favorite Hennessy product to drink. But I have been put on some game as it relates to Hennessy Pure White. And I want to put you guys up on some game this evening as well, right? So you got some Hennessy. You all know also that I always drink my Hennessy on the rocks, right? So two things gonna change this evening, right? I am going to be enjoying some Pure White, which is not my favorite, hasn't usually been my favorite, right? I'm gonna be having some Pure White. And remember, I was telling you all that there is nothing more Caribbean than Hennessy Pure White. Well, I've been put on some game, and there is something that is actually more Caribbean than Hennessy Pure White. Hennessy Pure White and coconut water, right? I didn't believe it, but I tasted it. For those of you all around my age, you all know the Sesame Street song. You know, I tasted, I gave it a whirl, and now I am a Hennessy white boy. Hennessy Pure White and coconut water is actually one of the smoothest mixes I have had in a long time. And while I'm going to stick to my VS, I'm going to stick to my VSOP, especially when I'm out at night, liming, having dinner. I think this is a perfect substitution for daytime beach limes, pool limes, because generally I find, Hennessy, it gives you a little heat, so it's not always the coolest thing to drink during the day. But with that coconut water added, bro. Anyway, I'm rambling. Cheers. Before we jump into this evening's episode, of course, we have to do the housekeeping. As always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not a financial advisory podcast. Nothing that I share here this evening, tomorrow evening, next week evening, next year evening, or any evening that has preceded this one should be misconstrued as financial advice. It's all about the ICE rule: information, conversation, education, and sometimes entertainment, and all the time, Hennessy. So remember, as always, do your own research, right? Today is the final day of the Bitcoin 2025 conference. And so I decided, you know what, we're going to just kind of recap. We're going to touch out a little bit on the conference. What are some of the things that came out in the conference? Who are some of the people that showed up and showed out at the conference? But first, let's take a look back. I mean, it is 2025, Bitcoin 2025. But this conference actually started in 2011. And it was basically just a meetup for developers, libertarians, cypherpunks, and people who were early in this game, people who were particularly passionate about the future of decentralized money. Why is that important? It feels like we are witnessing a shift in terms of the mood, in terms of the tone, in terms of some of the conversations involved in this Bitcoin 2025 conference. This year it was in Las Vegas, but every year since 2011, it has become somewhat of a pilgrimage for all the Bitcoin faithful around the world to gather together, where thought leaders, politicians, billionaires, institutional investors, innovators, everybody in the space or everybody who's a fan of the space comes together to celebrate, to discuss, to assess, evaluate the future of this space, the future of Bitcoin. And what we've seen, honestly, is that the rise of Bitcoin has kind of been mirrored by the rise of this particular conference. Like I said, started out very modestly as a crypto meetup, a Bitcoin meetup, and it has since then grown to take over stadiums and expo centers in cities like Miami, Austin, and like I said, this year, Las Vegas, right? In 2021, which was the year after I really got back into crypto in a more significant way, the Bitcoin 2021 conference was like euphoric, right? It was all about laser eyes. I mean, everybody was talking about this amazing innovation, and we saw the price of Bitcoin surge over 60,000, leading off from the Bitcoin conference, right? In 2022, we saw, a lot more cautious discourse in the Bitcoin conference. 2023 and 2024, it was a mixed bag. We saw a lot of talk about ETFs. We got a lot of talk about adoption. We got some tempered discussions and discourse around regulatory fears. We know exactly what was happening in this space with people like Binance, people like 𝐂𝐎𝐍 being taken down. And I think this year, people were quietly confident about what this particular year's conference would look like under the backdrop of us, or well, I say us, right? Because all of us impacted by it. Us having a US presidential candidate, but not candidate, a US president who is a pro-Bitcoin president. We have new institutional entrants. We have a maturing legal system with a greater openness towards discourse with the industry. And I guess it's why they chose the theme of power and pressure as this year's theme. But Las Vegas this year, I was having a conversation with one of my friends yesterday, and we were talking about the evolution of Bitcoin. We were talking about whether or not Bitcoin still subscribes to what it promised early on in terms of decentralized finance, in terms of being a parallel financial technology, a parallel financial instrument, a parallel financial system to the traditional financial system. And he was kind of, raising concerns that with the growth and adoption by institutional players, we are losing that ethos more and more, it feels like. And I think for me, seeing, the Vice President J.D. Vance being a keynote speaker at the Bitcoin conference, seeing people like Trump Jr. at the Bitcoin conference, a lot of institutional investors, people like Michael Saylor brought into the space speaking, I feel like there was a dominance of external interest at this year's conference that made me wonder, does he have a point? Are we drifting a little bit away from the initial ethos? And then today I saw something that I wanted to share with you guys as it relates to a key discussion point that was being raised over and over at this particular year's conference, right? So I'm going to share a little video with you guys.
From stablecoin.
Stablecoin for Bitcoin. Stablecoin.
We've got stablecoins right now.
Stablecoin.
I'm actually not gonna put you guys. I'm not gonna let you guys endure the full minute and 6 seconds of that. But I mean, I guess while watching a few of the conversations, a few of the panels, I did hear stablecoins raised quite a bit. But watching it in that format, I think I got a little scared about what the future of this space looks like as these institutional players come in. And I'm really hopeful that these new entrants don't distract from, like I said, the original idea that Satoshi had in mind as it relates to Bitcoin. I hope that these ETFs and stable coins don't distract us from the idea that we need a transparent, decentralized form of money that cannot be censored, that cannot be restricted, that everyone on earth has access to, that cannot be controlled by any singular group or individual, and us not trade that promise away for a future that is purely focused on number go up. Because I think it would be a very, very, very sad day in this space. I am one who has always been a major advocate for adoption. I believe that, like I say every week, that adoption is inevitable. But we who have been in the space, who understand what this space was founded on, need to be careful that we do not allow these new power players who have their own interests as they enter this industry, this market, this nascent space, still nascent after 16 years, to taint, to dilute the promise of what brought us here in the first place, and not to get too caught up in, number go up, right? We could be enthusiastic, but at the end of the day, 100,000 BTC, 200,000 BTC, $1 million BTC is beautiful. But at the end of the day, we want to remember that the focus is that everyone has access, that everyone benefits in the same way, whether they have 0.01 BTC or they have 100 BTC. Number go up, everybody benefits from a percentage perspective in the same way. Everybody has access. And I think that, for me, is one of the things that I'm hopeful about. I think the tone of this conference was positive for the most part. I mean, we see a clear path to adoption. We see a clear path to regulatory certainty. We see the right people echoing the intention towards creating something special with this industry. We do see some people wanting to control it. Obviously, with all the talk about making America the home for crypto and Bitcoin, that is not just because they love Bitcoin. It's because they want America to control this space. But I think we still have to be very measured as we see this growth, as we see this opportunity, as we see these opportunities. We have to still be mindful that we don't want to lose our way. So adoption is inevitable. Adoption is possible. Adoption will happen. But I think one of the key things that I took away from Bitcoin 2025 is that we have to be very careful of how this thing is adopted. I think we need to make sure and get out there and have those conversations so that the average person is getting involved and being able to participate in this space before the BlackRocks and the big names start buying up all. Yes, this is one of the first industries in which the average man was able to front run institutions, but institutions are here now, and the window is closing for those of us who want to participate on a level that allows us to create wealth and protection for us and our families and generations to come. So a little bit more somber than I know you guys expected, especially coming out of what was a very positive conference last 3 days. But I think it's absolutely necessary that we keep our heads on, keep our eyes open, and continue to share the good news as told by Satoshi, right? Let's remember the original intent. So guys, that's my time for this evening. And try it out. Some Hennessy, some coconut water, Hennessy pure white, coconut water, smooth, refreshing. And it does not, coconut water surprisingly does not dilute that amazing taste of the Hennessy, which is one of the reasons I don't traditionally use chasers, but I think I might have found something here. So guys, as always, thank you for being with me. Illuminati, OUT, out. Be blessed, guys. See you next week.